Hi everyone, welcome to the new year, January 1st, 2026. The gaming world was shaken by breaking news this morning. PlayStation 5 root keys have been leaked, resulting in a full compromise of the system. This unprecedented breach opens the door to homebrew development, running unsigned code, and potentially piracy. But what does this mean for Sony, the PlayStation ecosystem, and the future of console security? Let's dive in. The leaked keys include ROM and root keys, which are critical to the PS5's secure boot process. These keys validate the console's firmware and prevent unauthorized code execution. With them exposed, hackers can bypass Sony's security layers entirely. Unlike software vulnerabilities, this flaw is unpatchable because the keys are hard-coded into the hardware. Sony cannot fix this issue via a firmware update. The only solution is a hardware revision, which means redesigning the chip for PS5 in the future, which would be a costly and time-consuming process. Increased production costs will also need to be factored in for the new secure hardware. Damage to Sony's reputation as a secure platform would be the highest priority, as they'd want to make sure customer information and the console overall is kept secure. Then there's piracy risks. While piracy isn't immediate, leaked root keys paved the way for DRM bypass, which could lead to widespread unauthorized game distribution. For enthusiasts, this is a watershed moment because custom firmware will allow developers and everyone else to create modified operating systems. Then you got to think about unsigned code execution. That enables homebrew apps, emulators and mods, and you should see a revival of modding culture similar to the PS3 and the PSP era. Then there's potential for emulation. Long term, this could lead to PS5 emulation on PC. The leak compromises the PS5's hardware level root of trust, enabling kernel level exploits and hypervisor escapes. Future hacks targeting DRM and anti-cheat systems increase risk of malware on compromised consoles. Sony is likely to respond in various ways, so there may be aggressive legal action against those distributing the keys, firmware hardening for security layers, rapid hardware redesign for upcoming models. But what does this mean for gamers? Well, depends how you look at it. Pros could be access to homebrew, mods and customization. Cons would be risks of instability, piracy and potential bans from online services like PSN. PS5 root key leak is more than a technical glitch. It's a turning point in console security. For Sony, it means costly redesigns and reputational challenges. For gamers, it opens doors to homebrew but also raises serious security concerns. The next few months will define how Sony responds and how the gaming community adapts. The console itself has a security processor that's got a private key burned into its read-only memory ROM. This allows the console to verify and thus play games that are inserted into the console from discs, or to verify the authenticity of digital games while offline. This has to be possible unless Sony is ready to require an internet connection and disallow any offline play. As it's engineered now, you can purchase a PS5 and a game on a disc, never connect it to the internet, and still play that game. The console itself is the state of authority to determine what is genuine, just as the game on the disc. If they use a central online public key, the console could potentially be hacked using a man-in-the-middle attack. That would tell the console that arbitrary code was actually valid. Hopefully they can absolutely patch this with a firmware update by generating a new security key and flashing to the security chip. But the problem of being able to run existing disc-based games offline, as I outlined before, goes into a catch-22 state. If you change this key, all existing disc-based games will now be considered unauthorized code. Every game, both disc and digital, will also need to be patched online to work with the new security key. Trying to run a disc-based game offline without the latest title update that has the new keys on a patched console would throw up an error. They'll have to weigh doing this against the potential fallout of piracy versus the number of customer support issues they would face. Either way, this means people who are offline or on a firmware version that hasn't patched the new security key might be able to run whatever code they want. Having root level access even means potentially installing modified and cracked versions of the console's later firmware revisions, as it's possible to do with the Switch and was popular on the PS3. Now, by all means, means I need to make this clear. I don't condone or encourage piracy. It's really bad for the industry. I'm very passionate about gaming, and people don't understand how much of an impact piracy has on developers, the console manufacturers, and the whole industry. We need to make sure we buy our games and support developers, and in turn support Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. I won't share any other information here, as that could lead to getting banned or sued. Anyone could do a Google search to find out more information. It's still early days. Let's see how this pans out. This has got to be a tough time for Sony, and hopefully they find a way to get round it. Like, comment, share and subscribe, and hopefully I'll keep you posted.